I anticipated a calm Saturday morning. Everything seemed motionless for a short while, so I got up early. At that moment, everything seemed normal. The weight of the blankets, the calm hum of the ceiling fan, the soft rise and fall of Sophia's breath next to mine. Everything appeared calm and undisturbed, simply another weekend morning. I would brew coffee, browse through my phone, and perhaps persuade her to take one of those lengthy morning strolls she always seemed to hate but secretly enjoyed. But the moment I reached for my phone, a drab glow from the screen lit up the dimly lit room, casting odd shadows on the walls. I squinted, wiping the sleep from my eyes as my inbox flooded with clutter, unseen emails, the standard promotional and spam crap. Then immediately I saw it, a notification from the bank. I took a moment to comprehend it, a huge withdrawal that broke my heart. I stammered, possibly still half asleep, my thoughts clouded by dreams that blended into reality. I thought there must be some kind of issue, a miscommunication. But as the figures gazed back at me, stark and undeniable, my breath caught in my throat. It was horribly real. She hadn't just taken some money. She had spent it all. I sat up so quickly that the bed groaned beneath me, my heart thumping in my ears, my stomach twisting into a nauseous knot. My hands shook as I reloaded the banking app, hoping, praying there had been a mistake, but the balance was still at zero. I turned to face Sophia, the woman I adored, the woman I trusted. Her lips were slightly parted in sleep, her face serene, in the low light. Her hair was spread out on the pillow, gently parted, as if nothing had changed, but everything had. I wanted to shake her awake, to demand an explanation, to ask how she could have done this. But another part of me held back. I needed proof. Taking a deep breath, I forced myself to move cautiously. My bare feet touched the cool hardwood floor, anchoring me, dragging me back from the brink of bewilderment and rage. I padded quietly to the living room, grabbed my laptop, and sat on the couch. I loaded my banking app once more, this time on a larger screen, and that's when the pit in my stomach deepened. The money hadn't been taken in a single transaction. It had been moved in increments, thousands here, a few thousand there, spread over the past week. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't a mistake. This was methodical. Sophia had planned this. My fingers curled into fists. She knew exactly what she was doing. The withdrawals weren't large enough to trigger immediate warnings. She had played it safe. But then I saw the recipient of the final transaction, a new account, one I didn't recognize. My breath caught. I forced myself to swallow. Who owned this account? And if it was for something innocent, why hadn't she told me? I sat there for a long time, staring at the screen, my stomach churning. It wasn't just the money. It was the fact that she had done this without a second thought, without hesitation, without remorse. I took a deep breath, forcing my emotions under control. I couldn't afford to lose my temper. Not yet. I needed to be smart. I closed the laptop and leaned back on the couch, staring at the ceiling. I could have woken her up immediately. I could have demanded answers. I could have let my rage explode, but I didn't. I had to make sure she couldn't talk her way out of this. This wasn't just betrayal, this was war, and she didn't even know it had begun. Every transaction was a knife to my chest. They weren't random. They had been planned, executed. I traced the withdrawals like a detective piecing together a crime scene. First, small amounts, 500 here, 1,000 there. Just enough to stay under the radar. Then, the numbers climbed, 3,000, 5,000. Last night, 10,000, everything gone. I clenched my jaw and exhaled through my nose, struggling to contain the simmering fury beneath my skin. The account she transferred the money to, it wasn't ours. It wasn't linked to anything we owned. And when I checked, the time, 7:12 a.m., it hit me. She would be waking up soon. I shut my laptop and leaned back, running a hand through my hair. The only sound in the house was the soft creak of the wooden floor. The weight of what I had just uncovered pressed down on me, making it hard to breathe. I had trusted this woman, and she had played me for a fool. Then, a sound, a soft creak from the bedroom. Footsteps shuffled. Sophia emerged into the living room, stretching, her nightgown slipping off one shoulder. She yawned. "Good morning," she murmured. "You're up early." I didn't respond. I just stared at her. She frowned. "Are you okay?" Then her eyes landed on the printed bank statement on the coffee table. She hesitated. In that hesitation, I saw everything. Not guilt, not fear, anger, frustration. She threw the paper back onto the table like it didn't exist, crossing her arms. "My parents deserve that vacation house," she said. My heart stopped. "Hawaii," she added, as if it was obvious. "They've done so much for me throughout my life." I stared at her, hoping, praying, this was some kind of joke. But her expression was steely. "You took everything," I whispered. She shrugged. "Don't be so dramatic." I laughed bitterly. "Dramatic? You stole everything we had." "I should take care of my family," she snapped. I stood up. "What about us? What about our future?" "You never understood," she hissed, her face twisting. "You're just dead weight." The words sliced through me like a razor. I barely had time to process before she shoved me. My back hit the wall, pain shot through me, but it was nothing compared to the fury boiling inside me. Her chest rose and fell rapidly, her eyes burning with fire. "I carried us," she spat. "You never did enough." I took a long, steady breath. She had been planning this for weeks. She had never loved me. Not like I loved her. A cold smile crossed her lips. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life." I grinned. "What are you gonna do about it?" She sneered and stormed past me, slamming the bathroom door. She thought she had won, but she had no idea who she was dealing with. I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. Fury, disbelief, and something cold, something calculating, boiled beneath the surface. She thought I would roll over. She thought I would cry. She thought I would just accept it. She was wrong. I pulled out my phone and opened my email. Sophia made one critical mistake. She underestimated me. I typed out a request to my bank for the full transaction history of the last 3 months. Then, I made a call I never thought I'd have to make. The voice on the other end picked up. "Officer." "Bradley," I said, my voice steady. "I need to file a report." He indicated a particular transaction that I had missed in my original outburst. The space felt significantly smaller as she moved the funds to an account connected to a criminal inquiry. Bradley's serious expression made my stomach tighten. "We've been following this account for months, and it's linked to fraudulent activities. If your wife moved huge sums of money under false pretenses, there's a possibility that she's either being exploited or complicit in this." The implications made me sick. Sophia had not only taken from me, but she had also entangled me in something far worse. "What does this mean?" I questioned in a softer voice than I meant to. "Something much larger," Bradley stated. "It indicates that we must look into this further, and that you might not only be a victim of theft but also an important witness in a far more severe matter." I let out a loud breath and ran a hand through my hair. This was getting out of hand, becoming far worse than I had anticipated. In a controlled tone, "Mr. Carter," Bradley went on, "do you have any reason to think your wife might be having an affair? Any suspicious activity?" I reflected on all that had happened during the last few weeks. Sophia's aloof demeanor, the way she was glued to her phone more than ever before, how she had once left the house late at night without giving me a reason. Each time I questioned her, she became defensive. Then, as we were discussing money, something snapped into place. I spoke carefully. Late at night, she received a call while we were racing. She stepped outside to answer it, but I heard. Bradley moved closer. A name? I hesitated just a moment before saying it. Lucas Santiago. Bradley's expression altered instantly. Are you certain? His voice had taken on a harsher edge. I nodded. Yeah. Why, Bradley? He looked at another cop standing nearby before turning back to face me. Lucas Santiago is a wanted scammer, he said. We've been pursuing him for years. He seduces wealthy women, drains their husbands' accounts, then disappears with the money. The statement struck me like a freight train. My wife may not be a thief. She might be his next pawn, or worse. Was she completely on board with his plan? After closing his notes, Bradley got up. An official investigation will be launched. We need to ascertain the extent of this, Mr. Carter. If your wife is involved with Santiago, she's facing more than just theft charges. She could be looking at years in prison. A peculiar sensation settled near my chest, but it wasn't relief. Not yet. I had walked into the police station believing I was merely reporting a theft, but now I had something far bigger in mind. 2 hours later, I was exiting the police vehicle in front of Sophia's office building. It stood tall, its glass windows reflecting the city skyline, a place I had been to so many times before, packing her lunch, waiting for her after late meetings, naively believing our lives were built on trust. But now that the last piece of her treachery had fallen into place, I was here for something else. Sophia hadn't just taken our money for a vacation house. She hadn't kept it for herself. She had sent it to Lucas Santiago, a skilled con artist, a man who had spent years persuading women to defraud their spouses before vanishing with both their money and their hearts. Had she fallen for him, or worse? Had she opened the doors for him? The office door swung open,